Good morning, good afternoon to everyone, and welcome to How to Monitor and Inspect Your Oracle Network Traffic Flow webinar. I am Violetta, and together with my colleague Paolo here, will be your hosts for this session. So today you will learn how to use OCI Network Path Analyzer together with OCI Network Flow Logs and Network Visualizers and OCI VTAP smartly, so you can run your applications smoothly. I think that's pretty much all from my side. I would like to pass over to Paolo now, and of course, to wish you to enjoy the session. Paolo, the floor is yours.
Hi guys, hi everybody. I'm going to share my screen. So I'm Paolo Ramasso. I'm working as a network specialist in Vikram Kurma team. And today I'm going to show you how you can basically track. Sorry, I stopped the video because, of the bandwidth. So you see me already. I can stop it right there. So you just see my picture. Basically, today I'm going to show you how you can track an overall, let's say, path that the network traffic is doing when you deploy an application, a three-tier application. So basically, this is a fictional application called Green Recharger, made by my colleague Paolo Bellardone. And I will leverage that application to show you all the steps that everything that will be followed in the network path. You will see the network visualizer, and we will jump in and out from the console and the slides. We will also see the load balancer. That's the entry point for the application. Then we will go on with the network flow log to inspect the traffic in the backend. Another very useful tool that is called Network Path Visualizer that let you help troubleshooting your problem with path between the components in OCI and outside. Last and not least, the VTAP, that is a traffic mirroring to have a deeper inspection in the packet that is going on in the network. We also set up an alarming because, part of the monitoring is very important to have a feedback if something is going wrong. So the last part, we will set up a direct alarm on the unhealthy node for the load balancer. Having said that, here is, let me move to the next slide. This is the architecture. Basically, this is a typical three-tier application, okay? You are landing on a public load balancer. The backend is provided in another subnet, and you will have a front end made by the Node.js and the backend that is an Oracle database. On the other side, we will also have a second subnet for the monitoring, and this basically is targeted from the VTAP. The VTAP is a traffic mirroring. We will just trap a set of ports and traffic coming to a specific port, the port 80, and mirror it to another place where you can put any traffic analyzer on top of that. Let's go on with the network visualizer. That is the first part that we are going to see. Basically, the network visualizer lets you understand which is the network topology, okay? How VCN are related, connected to each other. You can also have information about the on-prem connectivity. So if you have a CPE and you have a fast connect, you can also have those kind of information. Here you have a set of slides for your convenience. See it live, but you have some drawing back when we will close the session. This is a kind of information that you will get from the network visualizer. You have a set of pushing button to go in depth in some specific area. That could be routing or security. And what is interesting is that when you click on the link, you get basically the path where the traffic is going. Okay, we will see it live, but again, here is for your reference. And this is the one that I was telling you before. If you have a CPE, so you are connected to on-prem, you can also notice the two-way arrows. That means that you are receiving basically the information that the on-prem is working well for you. Okay, now let's jump, before going to the next slide, let's jump to the console. Okay, and all those kind of, let's say, monitoring tools are grouped together. And if you are short memory like me, you can come here and say command, okay, network command center. You see a bunch of information here about a bunch of tools. The first one that we are going to see is the network visualizer. So I will going to click on that. And in this moment is going to create the map for overall the components that are in my tenant. You know, when you have in OCI, the first thing that you have a tenant, then you have a let's say another component where you can place all your information. Okay. Now this is the overall picture, but I don't want to. I want to focus on a specific part. So I'm looking for this specific VCN, and the VCN, if you don't know, is the basic component for the networking. Okay, so everything, nothing can be done without the VCN. Okay, so here we have the VCN we are working on. You can make it bigger or slower. Okay, this is the CRD block. You have a set of gateway, the service gateway, the NAT gateway, and the internet gateway. And if you click on those button here, you jump directly on the routing, okay, between the components. And as you can see here, okay, we have 3 subnet. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger, okay. We have the private, we have the monitoring, we have the public. We will use the public in this case, okay. And as you can see, you have all the traffic pushed to the internet gateway. That is the gateway that allow you to jump into from the internet, okay, to OCI. You also have the private, same story, going to the NAT gateway that only allow to go outside of the network, not coming in, and the service gateway. Okay, then you can jump to the security, okay, and see which are the security list and security group. Security list and security group are the top component to do security in your to manage the virtual firewalling within your OCI. As you can see, you can jump directly to the file. Okay, this is the private. I don't use the private. I will be using the public. Okay, so I will jump here, and immediately I will be pushed to the security list used by this specific application. We are running on top of two specific ports, the 8000, okay, and the 3000. We will see later how is important this information that I gave you for the monitoring purpose. Okay, let's go back to the sliding for a sec. Okay, now the first thing that happened when you hit the site, and by the way, let's hit the site because otherwise you don't know. This is basically the site that we are going to leverage. Okay, this is a not creation service for a fictional company. I will say that this is for exchanging information. For example, I say sensor broken, and I say change sensor. Could be anything. Now, just to be fast, I don't put too many data. I create the nodes. Okay, this is the new node that I just created. I can refresh it and so on. So I create more node and so on. But this is, let's say, just a way to show you what is going to happen. Again, let's jump to the slide. So we end up on the load balancer. Okay, the load balancer is a service, is a totally Oracle Managed Services that is high available out of the box. You don't have to take care of anything about high availability and failover. Okay, basically there is a floating IP that when the primary load balancer is not working anymore, is automatically fail back to the failover. You cannot decide which is the primary and which is the failover balancer, but it's not, let's say, something that you have to care of, because you just have a single address that could be public or private. In this case, it's public, that you have to jump in to have your load balancer up and running. I just wanted to have this picture to show you what is important here in our discussion. The first one is the public address. You can find it here. You see the overall health that for the load balancer and for the backend set that are the component providing you the service. Okay. Before going to the next slide, let's jump again to the console. Okay, let's pick another tab. Let's pick this one, for example, or better, this one. How can I go there to the balancer? Networking, so I start from the main menu. Networking, load balancer. Here I have a bunch of load balancer that I used to. The one we are going to use is this one. And the first things to notice here is the public address ending 238. If you go here, you see I'm calling the true T8, okay? And what is important, because this is, let's say, a session for logging and monitoring, okay, is checking this smart check. Why? Because we have two backend sets, okay? One is working on the port 8000 and the other one on the port A3000. But both the health check, okay, are pinging a specific port that is the 3000. Okay, now that the application is up, you see here to check if the balancer of the application is okay, we target the port 3000. But when the other one is working on the 8000. So if we go to the smart check, okay, load balancer details, and you go to smart check, we have information about that. So there is a port mismatch. That means the application is running on a port and the health check is doing something else. This could be a problem because the health check could be continue working, but the application is not. So this is a very important stuff that you can check all the smart check information to understand if there's something that is not properly configured. Going on, we jump on the logs. Okay, here you have two types of log that you can enable and disable on the fly. It's just a matter of clicking this button here and you can enable it. Okay, enable log, error log is not enabled right now, but you're just doing like that. And this, you can do it always in the same way. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's a load balancer, is a compute, is a networking, whatever component you have inside OCI, the logging information is made the same way. But let's jump to the access. You remember we called the application, okay? So we can do a trap. Let's find first which is my address. Okay, this is my IP. So it's 5, okay, ending with 124 and 9. Let's wait for the login to come. Unfortunately, when we are on Zoom, sometimes it's taking a bit longer to load. Oh, let's try again. loading. Okay, we have it. Luckily, we have it. Okay, you can see a bunch of messages here, but you can explore it. This is a very useful way to, there are a lot of stuff inside. So you have the introspection. So you can do data dot, and the introspection is giving you the, let's say, set of components that you can look for. This is very, very useful. So I say client address, which is my address, is this one, okay, that you remember. So you put the filter and we'll look at the last 5 minutes. You can, go back, fast 15, past hour, and so on. So you get a bunch of information. And here is the result. Basically what we are seeing here, this is my client address eating what? The backend on the port 8000, okay? And if we jump on the instances, you can see that that is the application giving you the service. This is the address that you are seeing in the logging, okay? And again, you can do any kind of searching, just doing that way, data.something. And you can just click that to clean everything up. So going on, basically we end up to the load balancer, okay? And now we are back on the slide because the load balancer pushed the request to the subnet. So the other important component in tracking everything inside OCI and in the networking mainly is what is called Vcn Flow Log. The Vcn Flow Log, okay, can be enabled, disabled on the fly for each subnet, okay? So every subnet can be enabled or disabled. And then you can push the information via Service Connector Hub to different other services like Splunk, Slack, or just having streaming to the object storage. So you have a bunch of options over there, okay? So let's jump again to the console and let's see. Let's pick this one, for example, go back to networking. This time we pick virtual cloud network. The virtual cloud network that we are going to leverage today is this one. Okay, you have 3 subnets over here. Monitoring subnet, public subnet, and private. As I mentioned before, I don't use private subnet today. So if I click there, I can jump to the log. And as you can see, it won't be enabled because I don't use it. Okay, so you save space, you save everything. Okay, not enabled, but you can do it exactly as I did for the balancer. Just click on that and it will be enabled on the fly. But I'm using for sure the public subnet. Okay, so I come here, log. This time is enabled already. So exactly as I did for the other one before, I jump on the log and I can do a search, okay, for example, the port 8000 and the backend address. Okay, explore again with log search. Past 5 minutes, data dot data dot. Let's try again. Okay, destination port, let's say 8000 or 3000, that is the one for the polling. And you can see a bunch of messages here. Okay, let's pick any of these. Okay, so the destination port and the source address is this one. Okay, and you have a bunch of information just like that. We can do it for the port 8000. Destination port equal 8000. And again, same story. I have, okay, it's back. Let's go back. Okay. It's passed more than 5 minutes. And you have the port 8000 here. Okay. So go back to the slide again. And what is important here is that we have a very useful tool that is the Network Path Analyzer. The Network Path Analyzer lets you, let's say, debug or understanding if you have any trouble in connectivity between OCI components, okay, within OCI itself, or between on-prem or internet. So basically let you, let's say, troubleshoot, assist you in the troubleshooting on security and routing misconfiguration, okay? And we will do, let's say, on-the-fly check on that. And what is nice is to provide you, let's say, a bunch of, let's say, picture similar to what we are going to see here. We will have for convenience again, with all the components that are present in the path to reach the target and to go back to the origin. Okay, the Network Path Analyzer is again under the command. Okay, under the command center group. Okay, Network Path Analyzer. But before doing that, suppose that you have, let's say, ask somebody to do the maintenance for your application. But you know, some mess can happen. So, for example, here we are tweaking the network the virtual firewall. So let's say that somebody did a mess and changed the port from 8000 to 8001. Okay, go to Save Changes. Okay, and then let's try to hit the application again. As you can see, boom, you wake up a morning and the application is no more running. So that's very useful tool to do the debug. Okay, so we create basically a Network Path Analyzer. So you can come here and say demo, let's say today is 0809. Okay, you can trap different protocol. Let's say now we are tracking the TCP. You can find, if you don't know the IP, you know, you can find by resources. And what we are doing, you are, let's say, tracking the traffic from the load balancer, okay, to the backend that is giving you the service. If you are more than one load balancer, you can pick the right one. This is the right one. The destination is the compute. You remember we have the compute with the address, or better, this is not the address. Let's check for compute instance app. Okay, instance app has two interface. This is the one that we are interested in, is the private, and the destination port that the application is running is on port 8000. I click Run Analysis. Okay, I can save it and run it later You know, so you understand which is the right way to track. You can save it and then run it anytime you want. Go to this one, analyze. Okay, now it's taking about 1 minute, okay, to complete. And okay, while we are waiting, okay, maybe it's taking very few time, but in the meantime, okay, I want to introduce you with the next topic, that is what we are going to see later after the virtual path analyzer. The next part is the VTAP, as I mentioned before. This is very important because it lets you mirror in the traffic. Basically, it means that you can filter a specific part of the traffic that hit a component like the load balancer or other kind of component within OCI, push it to a network load balancer that is mandatory for that, for the VTAP to work. And the network load balancer basically is a balancer that manages traffic at layer 3 and layer 4, okay? While the other one is the application load balancer at layer 7. And behind the network load balancer, you can hook a set of instances to do the traffic analysis, okay? We come back later on this, but we jump again to the console and see if we are almost there. And as you can see, when everything is up, okay, you see this is the segment signal with a signal that something is not going well. So view the information, okay? You have a complete description of what is going wrong. The routing is fine, okay? But we have a problem with ingress access, okay? You can go and jump directly from here and do the proper update. Okay, now we should have, fine, came up, edit. We go back to the port 8000 and reload the application. Okay, and we are back, okay? So that path analyzer is is a cool tool, really a cool tool that helps you when you have a lot of stuff and you don't know what to look for. Going on with the VTAP, as I mentioned before, you have a set of rules. You will see it live that we will have a filter on port 80. This is for your convenience, again, as a slide. You have to put the ranges for the filter to work. The network load balancer, as I mentioned, is a layer 3, layer 4 balancer. It's an always free service, so you can use it without paying any specific fee. And you know, you can also generate, for example, a pickup file where then you can do analysis with any tool that you prefer, like Wireshark or other stuff. Okay, so now go back to the console and jump on command. Okay, as I mentioned before, command center, group together all those set of tools that help you to visualize and diagnose problem. This one we are talking about VTAP. So let's jump on the VTAP. Okay, this is already running. Let me do something because I forgot to stop it. Stop it. This is important because you don't want to always have the traffic running, okay, mirrored. You can just disable and enable when you want. Okay, so this is disabled right now. I stop it. I already configured for you. We are taking the source that is the balancer, is going to push the traffic to the network load balancer. Is out of the scope of this discussion, but is pushing the target to the network load balancer. And we are working on a filter 8-port only, okay? If you jump on rule, you can see here that destination port is port 8 only. All the Radis traffic is hitting the balancer is not okay mirrored. Go here, start. Let's wait a second for that to come up and working. Let's do a refresh. Again, for sure, if you are not on Zoom, you don't have this delay. Zoom, anytime we are on the call, we have this little delay. Okay, now is up and running. So the traffic is mirrored. Any traffic that is coming is mirrored. What I have to do? Well, I need, let's pick any of these. I need to jump on my compute. I'm already there, but I want to show you how you can do it. You go under compute, you go under instances. Here I have a bunch of instances up and running. The one that I'm using to mirroring the traffic and monitoring everything is this one over here. You have a public address and the private address. Instance monitoring. Okay, this is still loading. Anyway, okay, it's coming. So I logged in, okay, remotely to the public address, and I'm in here. This is, okay, instance monitor PowerB, instance monitor PowerB. Okay, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to run a TCP dump on the ENS3 is the default interface. I excluding all the traffic on the port 22, and I'm setting up I'm getting the address instead of the names, and I pushing everything to a file. Then what I'm going to do, I'm going to hit the application, okay? Maybe create a new node. Let's do it fast. ABC, ABC, ABC nodes, create nodes, okay? So we have generated some traffic, okay? Passing through the balancer on the port 80 and push on the other side. So I can stop, okay, now the TCP dump and look for my address on the port 80. As you can see, we have a bunch of record that has been pushed, mirrored to this specific machine box, and you see only the port 80 is in place. All the other traffic that, in case that place is not going to be mirrored. So this is another very important tool to go deeper and inspecting the packet inside, okay? Then, going back to the slides, we go back to the load balancer this time. Why? Because, as I mentioned before, it's important, very important to have the option to, let's say, dig in and see the messages, all the flow path, the networking, and the logging inside. Okay, good. But you also need alarming, okay? Alarming means that basically you can set an alarm on top, basically, on any resource within OCI. I picked this time, because we are talking about networking, I picked the load balancer, but it could be basically anything. As you can see in the slide here, I'm not defining an alarm on a network part, but on a compute via the compute agent, okay? Here I'm checking if a compute is up and running, and this is the metrics, OCI compute agent. You will see a bunch of that when I will define the alarm. Okay, I will check for a specific metric, that is the CPU utilization. And if is 0, okay, I will push the information to a topic. A topic is something that you are subscribed to. That could be a simple email, could be a Slack, could be different kind of notification services. Okay. And in this case, I just ask to have an email or my inbox, okay, for the problem that I got from the alarming. Okay, you can also see it on the console. So the console lets you define and check for the alarm. What is important again is that that framework, the alarming and monitoring framework, is exactly the same for every component. So you don't you find a simple way to define alarming for everyone, for everything inside OCI. Let's jump again to the console. Okay. We go back to networking. We go back to load balancer. Let's pick the load balancer we was used to. We have two backend set. Doesn't matter which one we want to use it. Sorry, I clicked the other one. Click backend set. This is the one, backend set. Okay, you can pick the one or the other, no matter, because the metric that you will see here, there are the same for both the backend set. Let's wait for the backend set to come up. And we will go on defining the alarming. You see you have backend server, how many backend server you have. If you have an unhealthy node, this is the place we are going to work right now, defining a specific alarm. It's coming for sure, just give a little timing. Okay, the first one is okay. Now we have the second. You see, we have one backend. Okay, you have the information of the backend, and here are the unhealthy backend. Right now, luckily, there is no one not working. Create an alarm on this query, and you are pushed immediately to the framework for the definition of the alarm. You put a name, backend down. Okay, you can stick any message. My backend are not working. Okay, this is what is pushed to the topic. Okay. Here's the metric. Now it's coming. As you can see, we will see here. Now we are working on the OCI LBus namespace, but you have a bunch, really a lot. Anything can be picked up. Okay, and for any of you pick, you can choose here which is the metric you want. You can define the metric on top of that. In this case, I don't want, I'm let's say alarming anytime something goes greater than 1. And the delay time could be 1 minute or less or more. Let's keep it 1 minute. Okay, so if for 1 minute, okay, I have an unhealthy node, the triggering will be done. I'm sending to me. I just use a simple name for that. Okay. You can define the type of messaging, JSON, raw message, and so on. Repeating notification if it continues to happen, or just have it twice. And you do save alarm. As you do save alarm, okay, you will have it here in the alarm definition. Okay, backend down, critical. And you can check it when it will be firing in alarm status. Here I have a bunch of all the fired alarming. For example, this one, Prova 1, not a great name, but okay, unhealthy server, okay, 1 minute, I got a problem because my backend was down. So I get this kind of information on my console, and I also ask for having an email. I receive also the email in my mailbox. Okay. So this is well, this was the last part that I wanted to show you today for the cloud session on monitoring the networking. So I don't know if you have any specific question for.
There is a question, Paolo, and maybe more will come by the end. So if you'd like, you can provide an answer now. So somebody, we have Mohammed that is asking, is there any extra cost incur with if we enable logs?
Okay, no, absolutely no. There is no extra cost in enabling log unless you want to, for example, save it or somewhere, for example, on the object storage. So you need the space to keep it. So in that case, you have to also let's say, evaluate how much space you want to keep it, and you will be, let's say, charged for the storage that you will be using.
All right, thanks a lot, Paolo. So
You're welcome.
I would propose to move on with the useful resources part. And of course, at the end, we have a poll, and we can take questions in case somebody would like to ask specific networking questions. So let's wrap up the call with some useful resources that you guys can use. And here we have a slide that Paolo created for you. You can learn more about OCI networking using the links that we have added for you here. Now it's time for Q&A. If you have any other questions, please don't be shy and address them now in the Q&A button, and Paolo will be more than happy to answer. You can always raise your questions to us in the public Slack workspace that we have created, so you can go there at any point in time to ask any questions you might have. So I see no further questions coming.
What is a backend server? Okay, the backend server basically, when you have the load balancer, okay, is the entry point. Then what you have the backend set. The backend set is a grouping of backend server. So the backend server are let's say the resources, typically the compute, okay, that are providing you the services. You can also group the backend server in pool. Basically, you can create, for example, an image, create a pool out of it, and attach it to the load balancer.
Thank you, Paolo.
Welcome.
One more thing from my side. So we have a session that is called Boost that you guys can use. It is offered after this session. So this is a 20-minute call that you can book to discuss with Paolo on the topic that we have covered today. Keep in mind that this is not meant to be a support session or to replace a current workload discussion. You can ask your questions, or you can discuss with Paolo regarding the OCI networking service. It will be soon posted, the link actually to book your session. It will be soon posted on public workspace. So if you like to attend to it, you just need to open the link and then to book a slot. I will make sure to share it within the next couple of hours. All right, I see another question coming, Paolo. So is it possible to have in the flow logs public address of the source from the internet?
Yes, you can also have it. You can, push in all the addresses from the client to the backend in the flow, and you have it in the network flow log, the information of the address, of the public address. Yes. you can have it.
Thank you. Thank you. Hope that answered your question. All right. So I see no other questions coming. And with that, I would like to say a big thank you for all of you attending our session. I would like to say a big thank you to Paolo for presenting and demoing the services today. And of course, we are waiting you on upcoming events. Thank you and have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye.